Yeah. Right. We call to order our special meeting. It's a narrow focus and a narrowly driven meeting today. And the purpose of this special meeting has taken place, and I felt like we needed to with the Open Up and Recovery Safely, which is the OURS statewide plan for reopening the state. And there were some issues that specifically addressed things that our council had addressed about 6 weeks ago or so in our resolution. And so called everybody together so that we can focus on the broader information quickly, but then narrowly at our resolution and look at it from the standpoint in light of today's facts and what's happening. And if we choose to amend or take any particular action on that resolution, this would be the time to do that. Let me put that up here. And Lisa, I was telling Lisa, this resolution is resolution 900. That 903 is if we decide to do any amendments, and I hope patches to be quick, so there will be. The instruments that have driven the City of Clinton and City Council have been really three. And starting with the executive order from Governor Stitt, which has been amended, I think, Ryan, 4 times? Yeah, 4 times, but originally was enacted in place before we moved with our resolution about 6 weeks ago. And it was the emergency declaration from the governor, which put in place a 77 county strategy that had to do with dealing with the coronavirus. And as we know, it wasn't, in some cases, it was a 77 county strategy. In some cases, the governor took issue with certain industry, service industry, personal service industries like barbers and beauticians, and took specific actions in certain counties depending on the presence of the virus. And so all that was in his hands. But that document drove us then to, as a council, to meet a few weeks ago and take a look at our own city. Since then, we have a document that I referenced called the Open Up and Recover Safely Plan. It's on the State of Oklahoma State Department of Commerce website. They're the agency that is pushing this particular, or is where you can get the full plan. And specifically, which has brought this meeting, I thought we need to talk about it today. Specifically within the governor's phase, it's a 3-phase plan. Now the 3rd phase is not listed, and specifically they talk about that when we get through phase 1 and phase 2, then they will be more specific about phase 3 in the state of Oklahoma. But today we're looking at phase 1 and debating that. And once again, the governor through this plan is opening up the possibility for things to reopen that our council specifically looked at and took action on, and in particular in the area of workout areas and the gymnasium area or the workout facility at Acme. You've got your, you have your proclamation or your resolution in front of you, and the discussion, and this is just to remind ourselves of what we did or did not do. What we did in all cases was give guidance and encouragement in certain areas in the City of Clinton, but we also specifically took charge of our city-owned properties, in particular the Acme workout facility. And in, you may look here, and this is what this you have in front of you is called the Employer Guidance for Oklahoma's Open Up and Recovery Safely Plan, specifically for gyms, exercise centers. Well, it's what Acme is. This is a design for the private gymnasiums around, and of course, we are overseers of our public facilities. And this is a May 1 potential opening, which would, I think, would probably be Friday, in the state for people that can, will want to open and then stay within these very strict guidelines that are, once again, they're on the website. I'm not going to read it today. It is a specific charge to people in this particular business that they can, under certain circumstances, begin to reopen. Now, that puts us into this discussion. That's why we're here on a resolution. The things that we specifically did, on section 7, we Acme Brick Park indoor exercise facility will be closed until further notice. So this discussion today is about where we are as a state, where we are in the light to this particular opening up and recovery safely plan, and how that then would affect Clinton, and to make an intelligent decision on that. I know Morgan is here to enlighten us on, and I'm sure you've been brought up. Come on up. You can, and then she is overseer of the Acme and other facilities. And I obviously, this is just me personally, but I know probably you guys too. There's no way that we can in any way move toward changing our position on this unless we talk to you and found out exactly from your perspective plan or how you view this gubernatorial order that can move in. Can you want to just address to the council? Morgan, thank you.
Yes, we are planning on allowing patrons into our activity center, 18 and up, no more than 20. We'll be monitoring that with our cameras and with the attendants, kind of go back and making sure people are in each area with the appropriate amount of space. We'll have the correct amount of signage and everything, telling them to stay 6 feet apart and stuff like that. And the attendants will be going back and wiping down equipment every hour or two, just to make sure. And there will be signs telling them to clean people when they have their shoes, but you know, always clean their equipment after they use it. We will be letting people use the restrooms in the front portion of the facility, but we will be monitoring that, making sure that we don't have too much traffic floating over there as well. We're trying to, you know, allow a place for people to still come in and use the facility, but also keeping social distancing guidelines in place.
And have you looked at this employer guidance?
I have not.
I think it's an important document. It's for Oklahoma's Open Up and Recover Safely plan, and specifically to fitness and recreational things that can open up on May 1. And you can address this and people chime in. There is a caveat here, which is it's not really a caveat, it's just a suggestion, but it's a strong suggestion. It's a temperature checks. Fitness centers should consider use of a touchless infrared thermometer. Should consider. I'm just asking you on these things. You know, if it's been a conversation, you check the temperature of employees each day. Employees with a temperature above 100.4 are recommended to be sent home until they have no fever or no evidence of COVID symptoms. Employers should consider implementing flexible sick leave and supporting policies and practices for employees and consider using employees older than 65. And then there's a sanitation and disinfecting guidelines that would seem to be, the way I read this is that the city of Clinton, no city in the state is in a position to eliminate these caveats. We can make them tougher, we can make them, you know, we can take actions as a city, but we cannot in any way usurp them or eliminate them, as my understanding. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And with that in mind, I mean, I think from my perspective, in order to change the situation at Acme, I personally am going to be, I need to feel comfortable, you know, on behalf of the city, that we responsibly can oversee the implementation of these guidelines, CDC guidelines, and social distancing. And I have a complete affirmation from you that you and your employees could do that and stay safe yourself, but at the same time have hours and regulations that are absolutely where the city has a responsibility to make sure these things actually happen.
Mhm.
So with that, you want to address?
How confident do you feel? I guess would be my question.
I feel really confident. I think, you know, limiting the age group that we allow back into the facility and kind of limiting the number of people that we have in the facility as well. I think we can manage that.
That was one of the questions for me. You said 18 and older. You do have a lot of people, as you know. I obviously have kids, 16, 17, actually 16. There are a lot of kids, 16, 17 years old, want to go work out. Can they go with parents?
No.
So
No,
they can't even go into the facility,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah, what we're going from, we realize that we can only do what the council authorizes to take place.
Right.
This is just what we think that we can control out there. We do have a camera system out there. We expect adults to be adults, when they're in there. How do we come up with a number? Well, there's the elliptical room, cardio room, fitness on demand, and then the big outdoors with basketball courts for walking, or no more than 10 per room, so that kind of covers things. Is it theoretical that we could put, or possible that you could put 10 people in a room and separate them by 6 feet? Well, if you stick them on each corner, they don't move, yes. Is it realistic? No. So we looked at numbers that we felt were responsible, to control, and that's what we came up with the 20.
As far as the guidelines that he talked about, you know, the governor's plan basically says this is gonna roll out, what, May 1st? Do you need more time?
No, I don't think so.
But you have not seen this at all.
I have not.
It comes from the state plan as far as how to keep this in
Pretty
place.
intensive.
But what I didn't see absolutes, Chris. What I remember are recommendations as to what we do, not absolutes. Now, the absolutes are recommended CDC social spacing issues, and those are what we're trying to follow.
Right.
Plus a responsible sanitation plan, which would be to ask everyone that uses the ellipticals to write them down, and then for staff to go back intermittently on a planned schedule and clean it, which I think you guys have already done as soon as this was over.
I had read a couple from a couple of different gyms that are opening back up, and when you talk about disinfecting, a lot of them, they're gonna have a spray bottle at every piece of equipment. I mean, I know that's dumbing it down a little bit, but it's right there. So I just didn't know if you would need more time. I know we've got a council meeting next Tuesday, and I'm not saying I'm against it, but I just wanna make sure, probably, what the mayor's talking about, making sure that you're ready to go.
Well, I am against it. I think it's, watching these numbers, I think I started watching them, you know, keeping record of them. March 25th, and every day it was up 18, 20, and now we're finally at about 3% for the state that it goes up, you know, and it's starting to level off a little bit. Custer County is looking better. And I just don't see in the grand scheme of things, you know, just one vote here or whatever, but, I don't see why we're in a, let's wait and see what happens in 2 weeks. We have no idea.
Okay, are y'all, what you and everybody else understand, we are not recommending that you open at Newbury Park.
Okay.
We were asked to come with a presentation as to how we could safely, we felt, control.
So what do you feel like, you ready to open? You think it's time?
I
You
mean,
feel comfortable?
yes, I do.
You feel comfortable that nobody will go in there and catch a virus on your watch?
Well,
There's no-
Absolutely not.
And that's where.
But it's early.
I'm with Ernie, I'm not, at this time, I'm not in favor of reopening it. Whenever we do reopen it, yeah, we have to do some pretty drastic stuff relative to what it was like before. We don't know the people that are coming in, yeah, we like to think everybody's adults. I don't know where they've been. And if you or Tricia got sick, I couldn't manage them. Not right now. I spoke to a local doctor this morning, and his recommendation was kind of the same. He said, any sort of confined area, I just can't recommend it right now. And when I talked to him, the first thing he said, he could have stopped talking after that, and just said, I don't know. So we don't know what we don't know. So,
And these are just guidelines to other businesses, these aren't, you know, I bet if you put the truth serum instead, or whatever mayor, they would say, you know, if we own a facility, there's nothing, I think it's irresponsible to do it at this time.
I like being the first in a lot of things. I don't want to be the first in this.
Could we not wait until the next council meeting?
Yeah.
That gives us a few more days. I pulled up, you mentioned, you know, I pulled up from the Oklahoma State Department today. And because that's the only place I go. Because there's so many charts and graphs everybody has. And looked at the number of active cases. And again, I'm not opening it Friday, but it's going, it's going down.
Right.
And so I would think that the governor, they have a lot of people looking at this. I think maybe if we waited until Tuesday and just monitor it, there's a magical number.
Had it on the agenda.
Put it on our agenda to revisit.
Revisit it.
And if we want to push it at that point, I get it. We've gone this far. There's no reason to jump the gun, I guess, is what you guys are. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
These guidance, and they're not mandates, it would be probably very good for you to get hold of this and take a look at this and sit down and see, you know, where, if anywhere, you know, you felt like you could really.
If there was any hole.
You know, and I know it opens early, you know, and whether you have the manpower to sufficiently be able to oversee it, or do we need to have different hours where, you know, where you're.
We have discussed that.
Yeah.
And again, we're not making a recommendation to you, it's just a presentation of numbers.
Right.
They can do a body count at Walmart, I'm pretty sure that we can do one at Acton.
But you guys have you've already been through the CDC guidelines for recommendations. It would, like you said, it would probably be beneficial to go through those a couple more days or, you know, week.
How many people are on staff?
We have, at one time, or just all together? There's, at one time, at the most, there's about 3 of us out there.
What's your, in terms of staffing, what time does Tricia get there? I'm sure she opens way too early.
She opens up at about 4.
Yeah. And from 4 to 7, how many people do you have coming in? Is it something she can manage by herself, or do you need to have additional staff at that point?
We normally have Keith in there that comes in and cleans. He's currently out due to back surgery. And I do come in early some mornings, and I will come in and clean and help with that. And so, normally Trish can get it done herself, because she's not super busy, but, you know, it's just the morning crowd that comes in.
Is she in a position to like tell people that you got too many people there?
Oh, yeah.
In other words,
She's not afraid.
She's not afraid.
No, I don't get it.
Yeah, she has a pretty good handle on the morning, on anyone that comes into the facility.
Well, the thing we want to do, we want to bring this activity back to the citizens of Clinton, but we do have a responsibility to be able to do it and be able to oversee it, feel like you can oversee it, and as well as any place in the country. There's no assurance that somebody's not going to get sick, but going in, we've got to make sure that we have our timing is as good as possible, and you guys can handle this.
We're here to facilitate the operations at the discretion and guidance of the council. You're the one to close.
I don't want you to think that we think you're not capable.
Oh, no,
No, that's not it at all.
I think we're saying just keep tweaking your process. I mean, looking at it, and try to find holes in it over the next week or so.
Okay.
And then, plan next Tuesday?
Is that the?
Yeah, we'll have an agenda item that, you know, you might have some coming up at us. A little bit, we'll have a little bit more watch things. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Mark, on the issue you might want to address, and we took, in the resolution, we did talk about, in general terms, the other pieces of public property which you oversee, the Frisco Center and that sort of thing. You want to address that?
The current status of the Frisco Center is that it is closed to the public. Now, we're taking advantage of this and doing some cleaning on the inside that's rather hard to do with big groups and time consuming. For instance, we are stripping off 15 years of wax in the exhibition room. We're gonna paint the entire facility, other than the office areas, which we've already done. We have no planned events there. It's not open to anyone. Southwest Playhouse, I think the board of directors on that has.
I board last night officially. I'm involved with the play if it ever happens, but the, the board of directors, to their credit, which you pointed this out early, they didn't have to be told to dismiss the season, at least put it off. Now they're officially closed. Now that is just this season through May, and I don't have any word from them on any official documentation on what they plan perhaps for the Playhouse in the summer with the children and whatnot, but they're picking back up at the end of August for their new season. So that would be, their attempt to address this highly questionable situation. What about senior citizens?
Still, in the same status it was when I formally took action, it's closed to the public.
And then, the Public Library Board, Western Plains took charge of the library, right?
Tim
What
Miller.
you got going?
Right now, we're looking at May 11th, because I have some sneeze guards and some PPE that won't be here before then. That date is very squishy. I kind of want to see what happens when these other cities open up and see what the numbers do. When we do reopen, we're going to do a head count. My number is very close to yours. Right now, it's 25 that we're going to let in. We've taken out half the computers. We've taken out half the chairs. We're trying to spread people out inside the building a little more. We're still doing pickup where we leave the stuff outside and people grab it. So we're not open, but we're still serving the public. But the earliest I want to let people in is May 11th. I will tell you, we're getting considerable pushback. People want on the computers. People want the public library. I don't think they think about the public health of themselves and staff. But right now, even though we're able to open on the 1st, there's no way. My board meets on the 8th. That will be our discussion item. So the 11th is sort of the earliest right now I see Clinton Public opening up. But I'm enjoying the feedback you're giving. I'll be here Tuesday night. I kind of want us to all be in lockstep. I don't want to open 2 weeks before you open Acme or 2 weeks after. I kind of want to stay in the same vein with you guys.
Well, we're all squeezed in together with everybody else in the state, and we're wanting this to not come back at us. And I know that, and you're familiar with the hours.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And getting past phase 1 has to do with statistics and, and things really going down and being able to have a manageable healthcare situation at the hospital, and just like for normal disease or this and that, before they were going to stage 2. So, okay. Are there any other questions about our resolution, which basically we dealt with all these things in general, but specific with that, anything else that we want to?
We have one question about section 10. This resolution shall become effective 8 a.m. Friday, March the 20th.
Right.
We're already past March the 20th. Is that March the 20th or March the 30th?
Okay, this is not a rewritten one. This is the original one. Yeah, when and if we do make amendments to this resolution, it'll have a new date. It'll have a new start time. As of right now, everything is as of March the 20th, 2020, and basically as is, until we regroup and decide to do something different, and we can amend this resolution.
Well, that would include this information so that you can see what you have.
Right, and then that'll take the date to current.
So it sounds like we're all in the slow.
Yeah, sounds like it. And then we'll have an agenda item.
Tuesday, May the 5th.
Yes, for an update on all these issues. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Councilman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman McGonis,
Yes.
Councilman Dowdell,
Yes.
Councilman Stewart,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.